Hey everybody, my name is Dominic Mastry. I'm the product manager here at The Edge. I'm joined today by Ray Phelan. He's our director of development. I'd like to welcome you all to our webinar. The point of today's webinar, we just want to demonstrate for you guys our new transfer screens, show you some of the new features, and we want to get your feedback and just hear what kind of stuff you guys are looking for. So we're going to start here. We've moved the transfer menu. It's no longer off of administrative at the top. Instead, you're going to come to inventory. And we've got now a new button here for Interstore. All your transfer stuff will be in here. When we go to Interstore, we go to Transfers, and these are the new transfer screens. First tab it's going to bring you to is the actual Transfer tab. This is what you're going to use to ship items to other stores. You'll see here now the very first tab is Requested Items. This is a new feature that we've added. Associates at other stores are going to be able to request items from you. Somebody requests an item from your store, it's going to be waiting in here. If you decide that you do want to fulfill that request, you can check it off. Say where it's going, how it's getting there, and then we transfer it. Now you'll see too, this is going to be new for you. We have a transfer number that we're going to assign to each transfer. Now this transfer is still open, so if I add additional items, they're all going to be put under this transfer number. After you have included all the items you want in this transfer, you hit Close Transfer. That's going to close out this number and queue up the next one to initiate your next transfer. In terms of getting items on the transfer, just like before, you can scan or key it in. And then we've also added an Items tab here that's going to allow you to find items. So if you wanted to look at items, look up items that you wanted to transfer, you could do that. And then you would check the ones that you want to include, hit your transfer button. Oh, okay. That one's already set. And then that's going to add that. And again, because we haven't closed out this transfer, it's still going to go under this number. Additionally, we've added the ability to put notes on the transfers. And that's going to be linked to the actual transfer number. These notes are going to appear at the other store when they're received. And you can make that note a pop-up so that it pops up so that they see it. After you've completed adding all the items you want on this transfer, you close it out. Now, we've also added the ability to do automatic email notifications. So when you close it out, it'll actually send an email to any associates that are set as the inventory manager for that store. And that's done on the associate record. And you can choose which stores you want to be notified. Anytime an item is transferred to or received, or anytime an item is requested, you're going to get an email. That email is going to look like this. It's going to tell you where it came from. It'll include your transfer number, your shipping information, and then it'll list all the items that were included. Okay? Actually, let me just open this up to see if we have any questions. I have you all muted right now. Does that work? Okay, everybody's unmuted right now. Is there any questions so far? No, we're good. Keep going. Okay. All right, the next tab down is going to be your Receive screen. This is where you're going to receive anything that's been transferred to your store. So anything waiting to be received is going to be listed here. You choose the case location it's going to go to, check it off, and then you can receive it into inventory. Now you'll see down here we have this transfer history. It's kind of a running activity log of everything that you've been transferring or receiving in this specific session. If you close out the transfer form and come back in, that's going to be cleared out. If you need more room to work at the top and you don't need to see this, you can bring it down. And actually, I want to go back to transfers. One thing that I skipped here, when you're transferring items, we have the ability here to look at recent invoices. So if you recently took an invoice in from a vendor, added a bunch of items at your location, and now you need to ship them out, you could pick recent invoice, and it's going to list you the items from that invoice. There's a system option that controls how many days we're looking back for these recently entered invoices. The default is 7 days. You can change it to whatever works for you. Okay, jumping back over to receive. There's not much else here. You're receiving. We have the ability to filter by open transfers. So any transfer that has not been completed yet, you can filter it out and only see those items. Additionally, on all these column headers now, you're going to see this new little icon. This is going to let you filter by anything in this column. So if you only wanted to see things coming Federal Express, you could do that. All right, and then we have the actual request tab. This is how you can request items from other stores. You can either find it or you can key it in. We've also added the request button in a couple of other places. So for instance, if you use item levels, levels is going to have a request button. So if you wanted to initiate a request for an item that you are out of stock on, but maybe the other store has it, you can come in here, hit request. Same goes for the item record. If you look up an item that's at another store, do that real quick. There we go. You can look up an item at a different store, and you can request that this gets sent to you. Now, hitting request does not actually transfer. It just opens up that request. It can be denied. It can be canceled. It doesn't actually move the item at this point. And then the other place where you're going to see this is on the rapid reorder form. So let's say that you maybe something sold fast in your store and you're thinking about reordering it. Well, it might already be at another store, and you can request that they send you some by checking it off. And then we've got the request items button down here, and that'll send out the request to that store. Okay, the next tab is going to be open. What this is going to show us is all of the open transfers. So there's anything that has not been fulfilled yet. And you'll see if the transfer has notes on it, we get this little note icon. You can hover here to actually see what the note says. And if you want to see the actual item, you can double click, and we're going to show you the actual item record. By default, you're only going to see open transfers that are coming from or going to your store. If you have additional stores, you can use this checkbox to see transfers happening between them. And there is a different permission that controls whether or not you're able to see transfers happening at other stores. And there's a separate permission that allows you to transfer items not in your store. And the final tab we have here, oh, I'm sorry. And the open tab here is also where you can cancel. So if this transfer is not going to go through, you can select it and you can hit cancel here. Same thing, if there's a requested item from your store that you're not going to fulfill, you can check it off and you can use cancel, and that'll put the nix on that. The final tab we have here is our print tab. What this is going to let you do is look up any transfers, and you'll be able to print out, and we'll show you what this looks like right here, a list of items that were on this transfer. So you could, for instance, print this out and include it as a packing slip when you're actually putting the items together, send it to the other store. Now, these transfer screens are on a 5-minute refresh timer. So every 5 minutes, these screens are going to refresh. If you want to refresh it faster, if you knew something was coming through and you just saw the transfer happen, you can use your refresh transfers button down here, and that's going to refresh it immediately. Finally here, we also have the ability to display images, and this works on all the screens. We'll show you the little picture of what you got there. I think that's everything. Ray, did I miss anything? Reports. Oh, yes. We have transfer reports for you. So the in-transit report is the same report you're used to seeing. That's just going to show you everything that's currently open. And then we've added this transfer report that gives you some more filtering capabilities. So you could only see transfers, only see requests. You can pick the dates, and you can pick the stores that you want to see. So if you wanted to see everything that was shipped on a particular day, we can do that now. Let's see what that looks like for today. So it shows you each item, description, tells you whether it was a transfer or a request, and then store that it's coming from, going to, and then the associate who initiated it or received it. And I think that's it. Ray, anything else I'm missing?
No, I believe that's it.
That's it. That's the whole thing. All right, you guys should be unmuted. Does anybody have questions, feedback, anything?
Will the print screen for the transfer show the quantity on a bulk SKU?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Same with the emails.
Yeah, the notification emails are going to include your quantities as well. Is there any other questions, any other feedback? Anything you like, anything you don't like?
One thing we didn't touch on is permission. We've added 5 permissions to the system for transfers. We have a permission for request, you're transferring, another for receiving, another to cancel, and then we have a 5th permission which allows you to actually interact with items that are not inside your store. So if you have an inventory manager that's initiating transfers from other stores other than theirs, with this permission, they would be able to do that. We've also locked down permissions on the in-transit report and the transfer report as well. Is there anything you guys are looking?
Update be available?
We will likely release this in 2 weeks. It'll probably be not this coming Tuesday, but the following Tuesday or Monday, as long as all goes according to plan.
Now, is there anything else that you guys are specifically looking for in the future for us to do with transfers? Any points of pain?
Now, there's also a system option that will make it so you can't transfer or you can't change the item's store number without transferring it.
Question, how does the request pop up on the other store's screen?
So the requests are going to show up, well, first, if you have the email notification set up, whoever the associate is at that store or multiple, they're going to get email notified. But also, when they come into the transfer screen, the request items tab is the first tab. Anything that's been requested from your store is going to be listed here. And then, like I was saying before, this will refresh every 5 minutes by itself. But if you know that somebody requested something, you can use your refresh transfers. It'll come through right away. And then the other thing, too, is you'll see on each tab, you have this green circle with the number on it. That's going to show you how many things are in that tab. So right here, we can see that we have one item, the one here, one item has been requested. There's 3 items here waiting to be received. And on open, we've got 12 open transfers.
So on the
request,
request screen, it would only show the item code. It would not show the style code, nor the location where the item is. They would have to click on the item code to see more about the product, correct? Yeah. Okay.
Right, you would have to double click there.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that something to be useful? The location?
I think location would cut time while clicking into each item. If I'm requesting 10 items from another store, then he would have to go and click onto each item to see where it is located, and then write that down, and then transfer it. So if it's on the report itself, then you see the location, you see the picture of the item, you see the item code. The item style code would also help, and you can just go out.
And the style code?
Correct.
Okay, so I'll add that. We'll add the location and then another column for vendor style code, or do you want just style code?
No, vendor style code.
Understood. Okay.
Okay, sounds
Good idea.
Is there an option to only receive emails for requests and not all of the transfers?
There is not. Right now, you're going to get emails on both. Would that be something that you would want to see separated?
I think that might be useful for regular transfers that maybe not everyone needs to be updated on just for requests. That could be something that's more attentive.
Okay. Okay.
You can look into that one.
Yep, we'll put it on the list. Anything else?
Is there anything you wanted us to walk through again?
I joined a little late, so the first tab, I think the transfer tab, if you can, or the transfer tab, I think I missed that. If we can just on that real quick.
Yeah, so transfer tab is the first tab. So like we showed you before, by default, we're going to bring it over to request items. Anything that's been requested from you that's waiting for you to send will be here. You can check it off, and you can transfer it. You'll see we added a transfer number here. So all the items that you transfer are going to be assigned to this transfer number. So like we'll send this one out. And then if I want to find other items, I can either scan them or key them in, or I can use the items tab and actually look at search through inventory, check off the items I want included in this transfer. And it's going to keep the same transfer number open for all the items that I do until I hit close transfer and send, at which point this transfer number will be closed, the transfer will be done, and now my next number is ready to go for my next transfer. And it's at that point also that any email notifications will go out. The only thing I skipped on that was the notes up top. If you wanted to attach a note to this transfer, you'd do that up here. If you wanted that note to automatically pop up, you would check this box. And then on their end, when they received it, they're going to see that note. And that's pretty much it for this window. I mean, a lot of this is going to look familiar because it's based off of the old transfer form as well.
Correct.
I'll also be sending out a copy of this webinar, so you can view the whole thing again if you want to. And if you think anything later, you can always email us. We're open to it. Is there any other questions, any other feedback? Anything else you're looking for?
On the item history, will that show requested from store or whatever?
Yes, yes. I don't know if I have one I can show. Let's see. Yeah, so we do write out the history row. I don't have. So.
Bottom, you've already got your list open.
It's already on transfer. Hold on. Let me find one that I'm not transferring. And I can show you the history real quick. Okay, so this sends out my request, and under history,
If you were, you have to reload.
yep, shows you the request went out to the other store.
Will that do the same if the request is canceled from the other store?
It will be. It might not be now, but it will be.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good point. Anything else that you could think of? Bring this back to transfer. Okay, if there's no other questions or other feedback, I think we're going to wrap this up. Like I said, I will be sending you guys all out an email with a copy of this. And then also, like I said, if you think of anything, you can respond to that email. And, we take all the feedback very seriously, and we really are looking for your input to help us, make this more useful for you guys.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right.
Guys, after you get your hands on it, feel free to email any feedback as well. I know it's harder to come up with feedback while you're just looking at it on a screen, but once we've released.
All right, so we'll wrap this up. I want to thank you guys all for attending. And if you think of anything else, just email us.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Have a good day, guys.
Did that?